Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Class 1A podcast. Today we are going to be doing an anime podcast about video games, so we are now an anime video game podcast for this one episode. And the funny part is, me and Dylan, we both have anime podcasts, but we both work in video games, so it kind of feels nice to kind of have the two cross over for once. We both
hmm
have a huge passion for anime, both have a huge passion for video games. So if you haven't picked up already today, we're going to be talking about one, the games that are already out for My Hero Academia, all the different video games that they have out there. I think we both have two or three different video game ideas, just high level kind of pitches of what we'd love to see, pretty much just based off games we love. We're just going to transform over to My Hero Academia and talk about them a little bit there. But Dylan, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. I'm definitely doing pretty good. It feels interesting. It feels cool because a little known fact about Andrew and I is we've got started in making podcasts through esports. We used
Sure.
to make esports podcasts, so it is almost full circle. Maybe one day we will have a My Hero Academia esports game.
Oh, that should be sick. I'd love to cover that. I mean, I guess we kind of thought that might be like the card game. Obviously, it's a little bit different, but the My Hero card game came out recently. We kind of checked that out a bit. But yeah, with that, I don't want to talk too much in the opening. Let's just jump right into it. But
Let's do
before
it.
we do, remember to always go and comment, like, subscribe on the YouTube. You guys know that stuff. All the stuff, the algorithm helps other people find the videos that we do. And follow us over on twitter.com at twitter.com/class1a to stay up to date with everything that we do. But Dylan, before we jump into a couple of our ideas, why don't you kind of give us an overall landscape of what games are currently out there? Because admittedly, I don't think either one of us have played many of them. If any, I think I've played a few.
Okay, do we want to go from the best of the best to the worst, or start at the worst and then we'll work our way up to the best?
Yeah, start at the bottom.
Okay, we're gonna start at the bottom then. So we have My Hero Academia Battle for All. It's a 3DS game and it is an arena fighter. Basically, all these games are arena fighters. So let me quickly explain what that is. Essentially, it is like you're in a big arena and it is usually a one v one or 2v2, and the camera's behind the player and you're always kind of pivoting around each other. So there's a lot of games out there. A lot of like anime to fighting games are in this style. So you'll see it a ton of times. We also have My Hero Academia Smash Tap, which is a tap fighter mobile game. So basically, you just walk around as All Might and you just like slam on
Hell
your like
yeah.
screen and you just like punch a bunch of stuff. It's like in chibi style, so it's literally Smash, like the Smash comics. You
Yeah.
know how they're the little chibi ones. It's literally that. And then we have My Hero Academia Ultra Rumble, which is not out yet, but it is a battle royale game based on USJ. So you're in USJ, you can play a ton of different heroes. I'm actually kind of excited for this one. It looks really cool because, like, if you pick Mount Lady, like, you can just get really big and do stuff there, or you play Shoto and you have the different fire stuff. I think this one has like the biggest potential of all.
And that
Then
one,
we
it
have
has like a full, like, it's not out yet. It was just announced earlier this year, but it has like a full 11-minute trailer and all that. And like,
yes, yeah,
what really impressed me with that is like the movement looks good. Like we saw Bakugo like flying through the sky and it actually looked good, which is just one of those things that you just never think you get down. Obviously, until you play it, it's different. But
hmm
like they're full committing to everyone's different kits, so it does seem the most promising for me.
yeah. That one is definitely the coolest because I don't, you have quirks. You have quirks that are really cool. Show
Yeah.
them off, right? Then we have My Hero Academia, The Strongest Hero, which is a mobile game and it's like an action RPG gotcha game, kind of. So this came out, I think it was last year. There was a ton of marketing for it. I don't want to say it kind of petered out after that, but it kind of petered out after that. People still play a little bit, but not a ton of people. I think you actually played this a little bit, right, Andrew?
I
I thought,
downloaded it. It was like 5 gigabytes to download. It took like a day on my phone to download. Tried it for like 5 minutes and just gave up. I'm just not a mobile game person, though. I mean, I
yeah.
do follow the Twitter accounts still. It still seems to be coming out with a ton of new content all the time, and like it
hmm
seems like it's being updated more than anything else I've seen My Hero Academia related. So I'm sure it's doing well. It kind of gave me a little bit of Genshin Impact vibes, but it just wasn't for
Yeah.
me. But it seems promising. I mean, there would be
hmm
people out there that love it.
Yeah. And then we have My Hero One's Justice. It is the only one that isn't started with My Hero Academia dot dot. But My Hero One's Justice 1 and 2. There's two of these. They're arena fighters with the entire cast. I think these are probably one of the most popular besides the Strongest Hero mobile game. And then finally, we don't have a My Hero game, but we have Jump Force because there's My
Yeah.
Hero characters in it, which I don't know. I like it is also an arena fighter. They're all arena fighters. They're all just arena fighters. But Jump Force has like the coolest looking ones because it's like this realistic style, but also they're like anime characters. It's like a little bit weird, but the art style looks sick. I actually really like the art
Yeah,
style for
I've
it.
played a little bit of that. Just I don't know. Sometime last year, I played for the first time, and it was really cool. I enjoyed kind of playing with a bunch of different characters. They have combo moves and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
kind of some of the Dragon Ball Z fighter good combo moves, except in an arena fighter. So I really enjoyed it. I think the second one got canceled, or they confirmed, and the second one is never going to happen, or something like that. Because I don't think it did too well, but it's
Mhm.
cool. But it is weird how many arena fighters there are for all anime games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact reason, but I know they're super super popular in arcades in Japan because you can sit down in the way that like the Japanese arcades work for games like that is that there is like a block of six of them that are all that game, but they're all connected with each other.
Oh,
So
that's
you
cool.
sit down and someone else can sit down, and it like pops you into a game with each other. And so I know a couple arena fighters like the Gundam one, Gundam Extreme Versus has a huge, huge competitive scene in the arcades.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know what it's like for the My Hero ones, but I assume that there is probably like a group of people that play them in arcades as well, because there's a couple arcade counterparts to these, but they were a little bit tougher to find, so we kind of went with just the console releases here.
Oh, that's awesome though. That sounds cool. I mean, yeah, it was definitely something I sat down with a friend or two, kind of played for a bit, handing off controllers, doing different combinations. I could definitely
Mhm.
see like, oh yeah, go into an arcade for a day, I'd sit down and play that. So that's the only one I could speak to, but it was promising enough. But it just feels weird that like you said, I think what 3 or 4 of those all the games you listed that featured My Hero Academia characters were arena fighters. Like I know that's kind of Japanese publishing and stuff, but we just want more My Hero Academia video games with a little bit more kind of diversity. And I think that's kind of where this episode came
Mhm.
from. Originally, we were going to kind of do like in the crossovers episode we did a week or two ago, like, oh, a couple video games, but like, no, like I had a bunch of different ideas. I'm sure Dylan came up with a couple or had a couple. And we just want to talk about video game ideas that we think would be cool for My Hero Academia. So you just talked a bunch there. So if you don't mind, I can kick off and kind of give my first rundown.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the pitch.
So actually, I have one semi flushed out. The other ones are kind of more vague. Would you want to start strong or end
Ooh,
strong?
let's end strong. Want to end strong.
All right. Well, let's go with one of my favorite video game series of all time. I'll even make the argument my favorite video game series of all time, but really game is Persona 5. And I would love a J. I mean, it makes perfect sense for My Hero Academia to literally just transfer over to a school JRPG. I mean, you already have UA, you already have the cast of characters. So generally, with the JRPG, you have a large roster of characters that you can kind of switch in and out. You already have that. You already have the school setting. You already pretty much have a story. Pretty much with two of my ideas, it's pretty much just playing through the different seasons. So rather that all be a drop at once or be a couple different games, but yeah, you even go through and you have Midoriya going through the training. You have him going through classes. The nice part about Persona is you take hero classes. I think that'd be so cool. Of just kind of in between all the battling,
Mhm.
you go and sit down. You have all the different teachers you know, and they ask random hero questions and stuff, kind of like that. They have the training. I think it'd be cool to explore around the school and all that as well. So it's one of my favorite video game series of all time. I just feel like it already transfers over one because it's an anime. JRPGs generally kind of cover those kind of more topics, but the school setting, um, and pretty much everything that you need for Persona 5, I could just easily replace with something by Hero Academia already because there's so many characters and just wide enough information, I guess.
Yeah, and I would say like not just a JRPG, but very specifically, like you were saying, a Persona 5
Yeah, a school
like game.
JRPG or whatever.
Yeah, because like the social links and like the building your party and everything, like it fits so well with My Hero.
I would love it because yeah, I mean it. You have, I mean, obviously you probably have to play as Deku. I think that's the only way where it really works. I guess you could go as your own character, but that kind of gets a little messy, and I think that'd be less enjoyable. But yeah, you just play as Deku, and then like, oh yeah, I fuck Bakugo. I want only Deku. I mean, Todoroki, Uraraka, Ida. I never really played with Bakugo, or you only do Yun Bakugo through the whole story. So I always love those kind of games because it does give you for a good variety of how you approach things, even though it's very, very usually railroaded. So one of my favorite video game series of all time that I could literally write 30 pages about how this game could happen. I think it's
I love
Something I'd
it.
love to play. All right, what do you got for
Yeah,
your
great
first
idea.
idea?
So I'm gonna take a similar approach and ramp up into something strong. But I think the obvious one is a 2D fighter. We have all these arena fighters. I want to see a 2D fighter. I'm thinking like very specifically for all my fighting game fans out there, like a Marvel versus Capcom 3 style fighter, of where you have like a big cast of characters. You choose a team of like three, and there's like a tag system where you tag in and out, or even just like a Dragon Ball fighters. I think this works really well because it shows off the power behind a lot of their moves. So Dragon Ball Fighters answers the question of like, what does it look like with these ultra powerful people doing like crazy stuff, right? And I think the same applies to My Hero, just super, super well. The variety in the cast is really good for tag fighters like this because every character that you put in a team has like different roles and different abilities. You have your anchors, you have your characters who are really good at assists. I think I don't know, it fits so well with My Hero, especially with the wide range of cast that like it could be really cool and really epic. Like the thing that Fighter Z has, I really want to take from it in this game is like the super moves, the moves that
Yep.
like usually take you out of where like it zooms out and gives you a cutscene. I want that, but with this, like I want to put in all my. I want him to like United States to smash like Bakugo or something
Yeah, and
and
just
just
destroy an entire
explodes
series. Yeah,
everything.
it's so I
Yes.
love those kind of scenes there too. And the thing with the 2D fighter kind of approaches, with a lot of video game ideas, it's very hard to ever come up with a way to incorporate villains as well into a cast, and that's a great way to do it. Obviously, arena fighters are kind of the same way, but like
Hmm.
all my ideas, there's you don't play as any villains because it just doesn't generally work. You'll usually always play as a good side. So with this, it allows you to also have those really cool moments with Shigaraki, seeing him. I mean, let's say it's a city you're fighting in, and see him just use a super move and it wipes out half the city in a single like cutscene. Like you can see it from both sides. So no matter what your favorite character are, if those fighter games generally going to give you a chance to kind of see them a lot more than most of my ideas or most video game ideas in general.
Yeah, and it really plays up the power too behind a lot of these characters, which I think is pretty important for My Hero, and that we don't see a lot of, but like would love to see that at scale for this. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but just a short off tangent. That's why I want just a time jump for like 5 chapters, just to see everyone like doing their hero shit and seeing all the cool stuff they could be doing now. Because right now they're still kind of figuring stuff out. But even 5 years, even 3 years from where they're at now, would be so cool because you just know they're going to be doing wild stuff.
Oh yeah, like insane moves.
And that's why I think that maybe that's what the game is for. All right, on to my next one. Is just a general another type of video games that I haven't played a ton, but do you know what a Muso game is, Dylan?
Muso game. I don't think so.
So like Dynasty Warriors.
Oh yeah, yeah, like a single person beat up a huge big army kind of
Yeah,
thing.
so pretty
Yep,
much
yep,
like
yep, yep,
getting like 1,000 to 3,000 kills per kind of game, like
yep.
round makes a little bit more sense. But pretty much what a Muso game is, yeah, you go in, you're generally able to pick a character, a couple of weapons. Here, you'd be able to pretty much just pick a character and use whatever quirks they kind of have. And it is just a giant stage where you catch your little objectives, you take over the final boss, and then you kind of win. And you are just absolutely blowing things up. There's little bosses throughout that make it a little harder, but generally you are just going in there. It is a feel good game where you kill as much as you possibly can. You see the numbers going high, and it's just kind of more of a mindless game. But I've always loved the Dynasty Warrior series. They started doing actually like with I can't remember what the Switch ones were, but something of Hyrule. They brought them over there as well. So
Yeah, the Hyrule Warriors,
yeah,
right?
that was it. So I think they have them like the Gundam series and stuff like that too. They have for a
Yep,
lot
they
of
do.
different series. So it's a game that also just kind of makes sense from a Japanese publishing standpoint, but it just kind of, to Dylan's point with the fighter, gets to show off different abilities and just a really cool usage of quirks. I feel like with the Persona game, like, oh, you just kind of do standard abilities, same here, but this is just seeing giant Bakugo blast, Todoroki doing giant ice walls and all that kind of stuff. Is if you're going to be playing a My Hero game, you want to feel like you are the characters and doing big, awesome things. And I don't feel like there's any situation where it is, even if it just means you're killing 1,000 twice as every single stage. Whatever it is,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. It just feels good, and the combat feels good. You'll enjoy and be able to play for a day or two without stopping.
Yeah, and I could totally see like a ton of different scenarios where you would fight against like a massive crowd of people. Like you could just say like it's a Chihasaki like army or whatever, right? Or you could just say like yeah, Paranormal Liberation Army. Like easily throw in just like massive groups of people there.
Yeah, and even like
I
in
like
most of
it.
the games, it's literally just one, like all the little guys are just like one or two character designs in different colors. So like you
Yeah.
usually don't even have to put any work into that outside of the bosses. So you can usually even get away with that. I think it'll be a little harder because obviously other people need to have quirks. It would be weird if you're just beating up a bunch of normies. So you have to kind of figure out how that works. But it's just a game that I would just love to sit down and play.
hmm I like it. I think it play like you were saying, it plays into that power fantasy a lot. It could be super fun to play with all the different quirks.
All right, what do you got next?
All right, so I think I want to get this out of the way because I think it's the one that like everyone already wants and everyone like talks about that they want with My Hero, and it is an RPG where you just make your own student.
Yeah.
I think it's a very simple concept. Everyone wants to play this. Like people just want to get in character creation, pick their quirks, make their character, and then just like play an RPG that's set in UA. So leaning away from the JRPG aspect and more of like an RPG of where you're really focused on your character. I think it's pretty. It sets itself up really well because it's like it's UA. It's already kind of an open world in a way like that. It allows you to have like a main storyline that goes throughout, a bunch of side missions, a bunch of different areas to explore, people to meet. I think it could be really cool.
Dragon
And
Ball
like,
just did one of these, right?
uh, yes,
Is it
sort
Dragon
of.
Ball Kakarot or whatever?
I think they did something similar, yeah.
Okay. I was
But I
just
think
trying
it'd
to
be
think of like a
super cool,
comparison.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Of
mean,
like,
it sounds amazing.
yeah, and I think like being able to make a superhero like a customized one has been something people have been craving for a really long time. One game that really sticks out to me is City of Heroes,
Yep,
right?
that's what I was
That
just
is
about to
a
bring up.
classic game that people love, and like bring it to My Hero. It is there. It is literally there for us to take.
Well, I mean, even on the flip side, I mean, obviously another series that I love a lot is Harry Potter has an RPG like that coming up soon. Takes place at a different time and all that kind of stuff, but it is going to allow you to create a character and play through a story as if you're going to Hogwarts, exploring mysteries, going to classes and stuff like that. And that's something that people have been craving there forever. So I feel like you kind of take that blueprint along with a couple other ideas here and there and bring that over to My Hero Academia. I couldn't see anyone like it. Yeah, City of Heroes. I didn't get to play too much of it. I played a little bit here and there, but from what I understand, the hype of it was just unreal. And I think having something like that coming back, or even, yeah, I don't want to say an MMO, but like kind of like a small batch MMO of like, oh yeah, you can jump in and you'll see 10, 20 other people kind of like on the map at a time. When you're kind of doing different things, it'd be cool seeing other people's characters and kind of interacting and stuff like that. Or you know,
It'll
just
also
being able
make
to play
the
with your
school feel
friends.
alive too.
Yeah. So I love that idea, and I would do anything for My Hero Academia RPG.
We got to close out strong, Andrew.
All right. So this was the original idea that I had back when we talked about it weeks ago, and I think I would like platinum this game 100% or whatever you want to think. So it is a top-down My Hero Academia dungeon crawler where you just go through kind of like the Persona idea, where you just go through all the different big fights or setup pieces or kind of getting to it. I mean, you do even some of the training if you really wanted to before Midori got his quirk. You go through the training arcs, you go through the forest arcs, you go through the school festival. You kind of have little gimmicks here and there to kind of go through that. But it is Deku, and I would assume up to two other people, depending on kind of where you're at, just kind of going through a dungeon, just again blowing up guys, but also playing through the story. Literally, oh, we're about to raid the Shiasuke. Let's play 20 seconds from the anime to kind of set up what's about to happen next here and stuff like that. And just for people that, even if it's like different DLC and stuff like that, but like, yep, season 1, here you go. Then you release season 2, then you release season 3 and 4, and it kind of keeps going till the end of the show. But it just feels like it makes sense. I feel like you don't even have to come up with a unique story through it. Like, even though we've both watched My Hero Academia 10 times, just playing through and watching it kind of in a different medium would be awesome. There's so many
Yeah.
cool moments that getting to experience. Like, even, hey, you get to play the All Might versus One for All fight. Maybe not all the way through. It's kind of like that video game thing of where it cuts off halfway through and then the rest just kind of plays there. But I'd love to fight them for like 3 minutes and then watch 5 minutes of the anime with the rest of the fight. Like, that'd be awesome. It's just pretty much like a medium kind of translation into a fun kind of video game type.
Yeah, I love being able to play along with the story that we already know. I think that's what would excite me the most.
And it just kind of extends things out, or kind of like the one thing is like the Lego games. I don't know how much you enjoyed, but like after you kind of play through the story, you can kind of go back and do with whatever characters you want. So you could bring Cammy in the gang from that whatever school I'm back on it right now, and play through the whole story with them and stuff like that too. So kind of take the Lego idea of doing whatever you want and having just fun interactions of characters, little voice lines here and there that a lot of video games have been doing really well. I think it just sets up for cool little interactions. Maybe having some kind of combo moves depending on the characters you're playing with and stuff like that. But even
Mhm.
if it's just basic, you just play as Todoroki Deku Bako through the whole story, I'd still love it and just enjoy all the much that way.
I like it. I'd buy it.
All right. Your final idea, which is very, very, very you.
Yes, my final one. So something that we've been talking about for a really long time on this show is that one of the best parts about My Hero is just when the students get together and they just hang out. Like they just hang out. It's like no, like it's pretty low stakes of where it's just like them doing their like slice of life stuff. And I think that is the perfect formula for visual novel. Why don't we have a My Hero visual novel? They were like super popular a couple of years ago, and I know people are still making visual novels a lot, but it feels like we don't have any like big tie-overs to like mainstay series anymore. I mean, like a lot of big animes actually just got their start as visual novels, and we've seen the reverse happen a lot as well. Like Steins Gate, for example, huge like huge visual novel. One of the biggest visual novels became an anime, and obviously one of the biggest animes now.
Yeah.
Let's see the reverse. Let's get like a side story visual novel. I mean, I'm talking like let's get some like school life stuff happening. I want to know what's going on with the support students. I want to know like maybe it's a visual novel where we get to see something with the villains. Like just give us a nice little side story like visual novel. They're great. They're easy. I think it translates really well to people who watch the anime who can now play slash watch the visual novel, or just manga readers who are used to just reading it anyways, who now can just dive into the visual novel.
And
It's something
remind me of a
I
couple of
want.
ideas of it. Like, are we talking like Life is Strange? Is that a visual novel? I
No,
kind of
no,
I
no,
kind
no,
of forget
no,
exactly what it is. That's like a walking
no,
simulator.
no. So not a walking simulator, a like a literal visual novel of where it is a screen and you go through dialogue and you select different options. Usually, there's a lot of different paths.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, and so there's like sometimes branching paths that you can do, but mostly it is a dialogue game where it's just like this person talks, like it's a back and forth exchange, and like you progress the story through just talking with
Got
people
it.
and going to different locations.
So it's definitely not up my alley because the closest I could think of is like Detroit Become Human, which still is not quite that, or like whatever Rain. I those it's not for me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
no, those aren't. But we need to get you on a real visual novel, like a real true to form visual novel, so you can experience it. Because
all right.
these are
What's the
these are these.
recommendation for people like me that I'm sure there's plenty of never played one? Like obviously it's a little bit going to be what you enjoy and what your taste is, but you have a couple of recommendations to start.
Yeah. I have a couple. So if you just want like the best of the best, just play the Steins Gate visual novel. It's really good. It's a classic. It's a great story. If you haven't watched Steins Gate yet, just play it. Just play it as a visual novel.
Huh.
Even if you have watched it before, it's another really cool medium for it. If you are a capital G gamer and you're looking for something a little tongue in cheek, just play Doki Doki Literature Club. It's free.
Okay.
And if you don't know anything about it, don't look up anything and just play it. It's a great game and it's free on Steam as well. That is like a good like spin on like a modern visual novel. Um, yeah, I think those are like the two big recommendations. Uh, I would have to think of another one because there's a couple like good romance ones. I think that's like the biggest one out there is like
Huh.
romance VNs because it gives you different branching paths of where like you're able to like talk to certain people and romance them and play out their stories. I think probably the biggest one here is probably Clonad. Classic slice of life romance anime. Came from a visual novel of where you could had go down to different branching paths.
Hmm.
Um, Visual novels are sick. They're great.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a big fan of like manga or anime, you should be playing these. Like it's like a really good translation to it. It's a little bit more interactive, but it still plays out like an anime. Most of them, like I think 99% of them, I can't think of really any that aren't in anime style. But yeah, you should do it.
Yeah,
They're great.
Doki Doki I've actually heard of. I've watched
Yeah.
playthroughs of, and I enjoyed watching the playthrough kind of it. So I'm sure, yeah, it is cool. It is definitely different, but that's quite the game. But it's yeah, that's actually good and some good recommendations there. But is there any
Mhm.
other kind of honorable mentions or just even genres that you'd love to kind of see thrown out there? that you can really think of that's left?
No, I mean, I honestly, I think those are the big ones I really want to see. Um, I can't really think of too many other ones I am really craving.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you spend enough time, or even just in the universe, you could come up with it like an action, like an Uncharted style action game or something kind of like that. Transfer that over with Deku and All Might going to
Yeah,
trying
or
to do
something
something.
like the Spider-Man game, right? Like
Yeah,
you easily do something like that as well.
yeah, you could. I mean, again, with the franchise kind of like My Hero Academia, you could literally do anything and make it kind of make sense in the universe, just like how all the movies are canon, but they're completely different. That's kind of just how you treat video games. Like, oh yeah, this all happened, but it really didn't, and it doesn't matter. We're not going to explain any of it away.
Okay, I actually do have. I just thought of a really good honorable mention. So spoiler alert for the current, so slight one, I guess. But the Deku Vigilante arc.
Hmm.
Um, you just do that in the Spider-Man type universe, right? It makes sense. It fits perfectly in there.
Oh, that would be so
We
cool.
we know there was a lot that happened that we didn't see, so it's like, yeah, you just went around and saved people during this time.
That would be actually really sick. That's a perfect kind of story for that game. But I think that's all we got. I mean, obviously, of course, we'd love to hear any game ideas that you guys have. If you loved it, either me and Dylan's recommendations, we'll start out. I don't know. What's the thing you get people to sign to get a game made?
Uh, I just post a bunch on Twitter,
Yep, that's
I
what we'll
guess.
do. If we get support behind a game, we'll start posting a bunch on Twitter and have nothing happen out of it. But yeah, we'd love to hear any game ideas we have. But otherwise, that'll be all we will be doing for today. But to kind of mix it back up, there is not going to be a Class 1A podcast next week, but there will be content coming from the channel next week as we're going to move back into Demon Slayer. So before we've done the entire kind of recap of Demon Slayer, season 2 is just wrapping up or did just wrap up, and we want to talk about it. We've kind of been doing it. We have a different thread, Demon Slayer Chronicles. We'll be linking the video down below, and you can follow us on Twitter and all that kind of stuff for it. But we're going to kind of be going back and forth the next little while as talking about Demon Slayer, mainly doing episode recaps and movie recap and all that. Frankly, because My Hero Academia is still like 7 months away, and I don't know if we have 7 months worth of video ideas for every single week. So we wanted to mix it up a little
Mhm.
bit.
Yeah, but we're still doing this every other week, so still expect like a nice fun episode every other week. But we also have the main manga series and Vigilantes posted this feed as well. So if you're into the mangas for both of those, it's still going to be here. It is mostly just like a every other week for these special kind of episodes. But in those off weeks, you'll have a little bit of Demon Slayer if you want to keep up to date with us.
And audio listeners, as you probably saw last week, we are now dropping the manga on the feed as well, so that you can now get the Vigilantes and the main manga. Dylan does great recaps for both of those. Just kind of listen through those as well if you wanted even more, especially during the off weeks. But that's all we kind of have for little announcements to end of the show. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next week over on Demon Slayer. Bye.